Hello, my sweet summer children. There always was like this hate towards Daenerys Targaryen before season 8, but after season 8, I feel like tons of people were just shitting on Daenerys and her character and the importance that Dany has in the story, and then fans of Daenerys on top of their character a nosedive. They were constantly having to deal with the subtweets and the jokes. Oh my god, I bet you wish you didn't name your kid Daenerys. But I got you. I dedicate this one to the fans of Daenerys Targaryen. I'm going to explain why the books may be similar to the end of season 8, but not completely, because I do not think Daenerys is going to burn a city after the surrender bells have rung. But I do think we will see Daenerys, the Dragon Queen, as we never have before. I've criticized season 8, but to me that's basic now. That's so basic. And I'm beyond it. And I wanted to do real true fire analyzation to give the Daenerys fans what they deserved. I myself am a Daenerys fan. She's my boo. She's the queen I choose. And most of what I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't have told you right after the episode because I was pissed. First things first, things were rushed. Things weren't earned. And, you know, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Now that we've cleared the air there, we can move on to the actual character analyzation. This video will contain book spoilers. I think the two most important characters in this story are Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. Not to say that the others are not important, but I think House Targaryen is looking like the most important. Not only are the main characters Targaryens, but every book that George has written in the A Song of Ice and Fire universe outside of A Song of Ice and Fire is about Targaryens. Fire and Blood, it's about Targaryens. The Rogue Prince, it's about Targaryens. The Princess and the Queen, Targaryens again. Sons of the Dragons, yeah, Targaryens. Dunk and Egg, a Targaryen prince and a low-born hedge knight. Yes, House Targaryen is, you know. George even published all of Daenerys' chapters in the earlier books as a short and won a Hugo Award for it. Also, we know that George initially planned for Daenerys to survive all 5 books, for Daenerys to live. Daenerys was one of the 5 that was originally supposed to survive A Song of Ice and Fire, and at the end of season 8, all of the 5 lived, with the exception of Daenerys from his original outline. So we don't know if her dying is a part of George's plan or not. We don't know if anything past George's written material is concrete. We can assume, we can make some hypotheses and some theories, but we do not know. Anybody that says they know 100% is full of shit. When we first meet Daenerys in season 1, she is a timid little girl. She doesn't really know where she belongs in the world. She's being abused physically and verbally, even sexually. She's been on the run her entire life. Everything that she never had was taken from her. Her family, her home, her identity. Daenerys doesn't even really know who she is in season 1, and a lot of the theme of her story, it revolves around identity and who she is. Identity is a huge theme for her. We see Daenerys going through this identity battle. Who is she? Well, she's a girl that dreams of love, home, a childhood she never knew, the house with the red door, but then she's also Blood of the Dragon. She sat in her wedding silks, nursing a cup of honeyed wine, afraid to eat, talking silently to herself. I am Blood of the Dragon, she told herself. I am Daenerys Stormborn, Princess of Dragonstone, of the blood and seed of Aegon the Conqueror. When Daenerys is afraid all through book 1, she constantly tells herself that she is Blood of the Dragon, a Targaryen, blood of Aegon, the blood of old Valyria. And that's scary. That's scary for Daenerys. But at the same time, it's something that she draws strength from. Her dragon identity is something that Daenerys struggles with throughout this entire series. The first glimpse of it comes through in her dragon dreams. Viserys was hitting her, hurting her. She was naked, clumsy with fear. She ran from him, but her body seemed thick and ungainly. He struck her again. She stumbled and fell. You woke the dragon, he screamed as he kicked her. You woke the dragon. You woke the dragon. Her thighs were slick with blood. She closed her eyes and whimpered. As if in answer, there was a hideous ripping sound and the crackling of some great fire. When she looked again, Viserys was gone. Great columns of flame rose all around. In the midst of them was the dragon. It turned its great head slowly. When its molten eyes found hers, she woke, shaking and covered with a fine sheen of sweat. She had never been so afraid. At first, Daenerys is terrified. She had never been more afraid, and after her wedding to Khal Drogo, she finds herself wanting to die. She had a very, very hard time adapting to Dothraki culture. Day followed day, and night followed night, until Dany knew she could not endure a moment longer. She would kill herself rather than go on, she decided one night. It is on this night, when Daenerys is at her lowest point, that she dreams of the dragon again. Viserys isn't there this time, Daenerys isn't afraid this time, and Daenerys embraces the fire. She embraces the dragon. And instead of being afraid of fire and blood, she finds it's a good thing for her. Yet when she slept that night, she dreamt the dragon dream again. Viserys was not in it this time. There was only her and the dragon. Its scales were black as night, wet and slick with blood. Her blood, Dany sensed. Its eyes were pools of molten magma, and when it opened its mouth, the flame came roaring out in a hot jet. She could hear it singing to her. She opened her arms to the fire, embraced it, let it swallow her whole, let it cleanse her and temper her and scour her clean. She could feel her flesh sear and blacken and slough away. She could feel her blood boil and turn to steam, and yet there was no pain. She felt strong and new and fierce, and the next day, strangely, she did not seem to hurt quite so much. This is the beginning of her transformation into a true Targaryen. Daenerys loses a husband, a son, a brother on the Dothraki Sea. She gives a human sacrifice and walks into the flames, and for the first time in 100 years, the night came alive with music of dragons. This is a magical event. It's prophecy fulfilled. It's described as a miracle. It fits the Azor Ahai prophecy to a T. And this event is the beginning of the transformation from Daenerys Targaryen, little girl, into a true Targaryen. Viserys was Mad Aerys' son, just so. Daenerys is quite different. He popped a roasted lark into his mouth and crunched it noisily, bones and all. The frightened child who sheltered in my manse died on the Dothraki Sea, and was reborn in blood and fire. This dragon queen who wears her name is a true Targaryen. A true Targaryen. What is a true Targaryen? Targaryens are conquerors, dragons, fire, and blood.
You are a true Targaryen.
By every standard, Daenerys is a good Targaryen. And as the story continues more and more, she embraces the dragon. She embraces the fire and blood. But we see it truly for the first time in Astapor. Daenerys wants an army. She needs an army to go home, and Ser Jorah suggests the unsullied slave soldiers. Ser Barristan does not want this to happen. He thinks slave soldiers are no good for her and immoral. The entire idea disgusts Daenerys, but she does need soldiers. She hates Astapor and everything about it. She views Astapor as the Trident, and this is important. At the Trident, those brave men Viserys spoke of who died beneath our dragon banners, did they give their lives because they believed in Rhaegar's cause, or because they had been bought and paid for? Dany turned to Mormont, crossed her arms, and waited for an answer. "My queen," the big man said slowly, "all you say is true. But Rhaegar lost on the Trident. He lost the battle. He lost the war. He lost the kingdom, and he lost his life. His blood swirled down river with the rubies from his breastplate, and Robert the usurper rode over his corpse to steal the Iron Throne. Rhaegar fought valiantly. Rhaegar fought nobly. Rhaegar fought honorably, and Rhaegar died." That night, she has a dream that she is Rhaegar, and she's riding to the Trident on the back of a dragon, and she burns her enemies. And she said this is how it should have been. She serves them fire and blood. And that's exactly what she does in the plaza the next day. She burns her enemies, and she accomplished what she set out to do. She liberated thousands of people. She does the same in Yunkai and again in Meereen. Meereen is where things get hazy, because she lays aside her conquering ways and she turns to being the queen. There's the dragon, then there's the queen. That's the mental chess match that's going on in Daenerys' mind. The dragon is the conqueror. The dragon is fire and blood. And then there's the queen. The queen is political, protective. She's a motherly figure. The queen and the butcher.
I am a queen, not a butcher.
And that's the struggle. It is in Meereen where Daenerys truly becomes a ruler, and she's not good at it. Daenerys is a good person. She's morally good, but being morally good does not make you a good ruler. She struggles severely with ruling while in Meereen. She locks away her dragons, she befriends her enemies, she marries a man she can't stand for the good of people, she lays hands on the sick. Everything she does is for the good of the people, and everything she does in Meereen is not in Daenerys Targaryen's best interest. Her heart's desire is literally dangled in front of her, the ships to get to Westeros, but she refuses to leave Meereen. She refuses to leave for the good of the people. Enough! Dany slapped the table. No one will be left to die. You are all my people. Her dreams of home and love had blinded her. I will not abandon Meereen to the fate of Astapor. It grieves me to say so, but Westeros must wait. That doesn't sound like a person that is power hungry or lusting for the throne. That is a person who cares about her people. At the end of Dance of Dragons, Daenerys is lost on the Dothraki Sea, and she has these visions of Ser Jorah, Viserys, and Quaithe. All these visions are about who she is. Remember who you are. You took Meereen, he told her, yet still you lingered. To be a queen, you are a queen, her bear said, in Westeros. It is such a long way, she complained. I was tired, Jorah. I was weary of war. I wanted to rest, to laugh, to plant trees and see them grow. I am only a young girl. No, you are the blood of the dragon. The whispering was growing fainter, as if Ser Jorah was falling further behind. Dragons plant no trees. Remember that. Remember who you are, what you were made to be. Remember your words. Fire and blood, Daenerys told the swaying grass. In the books, we don't know what happens after she encounters the Dothraki. However, I do believe that Daenerys will end up burning the coals, and it will be another prophetic moment, another prophecy fulfilled, the stallion who mounts the world. And if that is correct, then she has fulfilled two prophecies, the Azor Ahai, waking the dragon from stone, but also the stallion who mounts the world. So if she does this in the book, actually I know she's going to do this. When she does this in the book, she will get the Dothraki army. Daenerys will fulfill that prophecy fully, embracing fire and blood. Now we move to the show. The show has Daenerys going to Westeros with the biggest army Westeros has ever seen. Unsullied, Dothraki, 3 grown dragons, House Tyrell, Dorne, the Greyjoys. Powerful houses are backing her. She has the best master of whispers and a very clever hand of the queen. She has loyal advisors. How could she lose? She was born for this. She has fulfilled prophecy after prophecy. She is the chosen one. How could she lose? Here's how. Daenerys' whole life has been this yearning for home. And when she finally gets there, when she finally reaches that thing that she's been aching for since we've met her, it is not what she thought it would be. There is no homecoming. Dragonstone is a very dark place. It does not make her happy. Dragonstone doesn't even feel like home to her.
I always thought this would be a homecoming. Doesn't feel like home.
It's Meereen all over again. It's time for Daenerys to play the queen and not the conqueror. It was easy for her to lose faith in Tyrion, though, because Tyrion's counsel was bad. It's been bad. Tyrion is clever as fuck, but at every turn, Tyrion's family is getting the best of him, which ultimately meant that they got the best of Daenerys. Tyrion's plans got most of her allies killed. This is while Daenerys is playing the queen. But when she embraces the dragon on the field of fire, she becomes the conqueror again. It's fire and blood all over again. So every time she uses fire and blood, it works out for her. So out of everyone, avoiding all advice, Daenerys goes north. But in the books, does she go north first or south? Because Quaithe tells Daenerys to go north, you must go south. Aegon has landed at Storm's End. What does she do? Does Daenerys make a deal with Aegon? Does she agree to marry Aegon? Does she join Aegon? But in the show, there is no Aegon. In the show, she is the queen who cared. She goes north and she loses a dragon. All of that foreshadowing about her never having children and the dragons being her children, and maybe we thought she was going to have a child. Well, it wasn't about that. I guess it was added to enhance the effect that the dragon's death would have on her. It's really like she's losing a child. Then Jon Snow, she's in love with Jon Snow. She's done all of this shit to get to where she is. She carried her family's dynasty on her back. She lives in exile. She survived terrible things, and she's home. And the throne is within reach, and she goes north and she fights the White Walkers. She takes all of her army north and fights for them. And no one appreciates her or gives her credit for doing it when she didn't have to. She could have taken King's Landing that day. Yeah, fire and blood is good when you want to fight the White Walkers, but fire and blood ain't good when, you know what, I'm just gonna keep it moving. Yeah, so she rode north, and then the man she loves tells her that he is a secret child of her brother who lives safely under the protection of his uncle Ned Stark. And oh, by the way, my claim is better than yours. So Jon tells her, and then she's like, what is this? Who told you this? And he said, Sam, a man whose father and brother she killed. Read it in a book. Oh no. And Bran saw it in the vision. What? Can you blame her for questioning that shit? Can you? And then she saves everyone's ass at Winterfell. No dragons, no Unsullied, no Dothraki, no Wind. White Walkers kill all the shit. And she begs Jon not to tell anyone about this because they will use it against her. What does he do? He tells people about it. He did, and they did use it against her. And her loyal advisors began to scheme behind her back. Not only is Rhaegal killed, Missandei is taken, Jorah has died in battle, and everyone knows about Jon. Missandei is beheaded in front of her, and Missandei's last words was, burn this motherfucker down. Well, Daenerys is at another low point in her life, possibly the lowest. And what does Daenerys do when she gets at these low points? What has the pattern shown? When she gets to these low points, she embraces the dragon, the conqueror, fire and blood. Now, do I think she's going to win this battle, successfully execute a perfect battle plan, hear the surrender bells, and just flip out and burn King's Landing? No, sorry, I don't. History repeats in A Song of Ice and Fire. That's a huge theme, and I think Daenerys will indeed turn the Red Keep into Harrenhal. When Aegon the Dragon stepped ashore in Westeros, the kings of the Vale and the Rock and Reach did not rush to hand him their crowns. If you mean to sit his iron throne, you must win it as he did, with steel and dragon fire, and that will mean blood on your hands before the thing is done. Blood and fire, thought Dany. The words of House Targaryen. She had known them all her life. The blood of my enemies I will shed gladly. The blood of innocents is another matter. Not only will she not burn thousands of innocents and give that crazy Hitler speech, she will do as Aegon did at Harrenhal. She will give Cersei the same meeting that Aegon gave to Black Heron. What is outside my walls is of no concern to me, said Heron. Those walls are strong and thick, but not as high as to keep out dragons. Dragons fly. I built in stone, said Heron. Stone does not burn. To which Aegon said, when the sun sets, your line shall end. That's what it is to be a true Targaryen. That's fire and blood. Yes, innocents will die. Innocents die in every war. Innocents died when Robert took the throne. Your Grace, said Jorah Mormont, I saw King's Landing after the sack. Babes were butchered that day as well, and old men and children at play. More women were raped than you could count. There is a savage beast in every man, and when you hand that man a sword or spear and send him forth to war, the beast stirs. The scent of blood is all it takes to wake him.
We turn the dragons loose, tens of thousands will die in the firestorms.
It's called war. You don't have the stomach for it.
Yeah, that's the way of war. Also, I don't think Jon will kill Daenerys. I mean, it is possible that he will kill her, but in the House of the Undying, Daenerys gets those 3 prophecies, the 3 fires. The first one was the birth of dragons. The second one was the calls. So is the third one King's Landing? I'm not sure about that. But what I am sure of is it has to do with Jon Snow. The treason for love, the fire to love, the mount to love. Rhaegar and a stone beast breathing shadow fire. So she'll be like a bride of fire, a slayer of lies, and a daughter of death. I did a whole video on that. You can check that out. I don't think that is referring to her burning King's Landing. So if you are a Daenerys fan, I have 2 words for you. Keep reading. I highly, highly doubt that our queen is going out like that. She will not burn King's Landing to the ground after the surrender bells have rung, but she will likely burn the Red Keep, and Cersei will probably bring people into the castle and use them as their shields. All I'm going to say is, dear Daenerys fans, keep your heads up. Be a dragon of fire and blood. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone that supports me on Patreon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the sweet summer children. Okay, my sweet summer children. Have a good day.
Shame.